Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum student. This is 6th of April 2020. Physics grade 9. Chapter number 3 Dynamics. Topic 3.5 Fraction. Page is 77. Here in your book, fraction is a force, opposing force. Fraction meanings in Urdu is ragad. Definition here mentioned in the book is, underline this definition. Fraction is a force that opposes relative motion or attempted motion between system in contact. Relative motion means when the two objects slides over one another. This is relative motion. And attempted motion means the motion caused by an object. The fraction is a force that opposes the motion of the two objects when they come in contact with each other. Come in contact means come in a connection with each other. Another definition of the fraction is the force which always opposes motion of two objects when comes in contact with each other is called force of the fraction. Symbol of the fraction is small f. Why we can't use the capital F? Because the capital F is symbol of force. Quantity. Which type of quantity fraction is? Fraction is a vector quantity because force is a vector quantity. And fraction is also a force. So that's why fraction is a vector quantity. Its unit is Newton because unit of force is Newton. Your today's homework is learn Newton's third law of motion of chapter number 3. Coming back towards the topic, there are approximately 4 types of the fraction, that is sliding fraction, rolling fraction, static fraction, and fluid fraction. Sliding, rolling and static fraction, all these fraction occurs in solid. Fluid fraction occurs in liquid and gases. Example of the fraction is when book is moved over table, this is sliding fraction. When wheel is moved over road, this is rolling. When wheel is moved over the road, this is rolling fraction. Then a question comes in our mind that how fraction is caused. Cause of the fraction is resistive forces are the molecular adhesion, surface roughness and deformations. Adhesion is the molecular force resulting when two objects are two materials are brought in contact with each other. This is the adhesion force, and this is how a friction is caused. Sometimes friction is caused due to the surface roughness, surface is rough, are caused due to the deformation. Deformation means change in the shape of an object. Molecular adhesion means when the two surfaces come close in contact with each other. Now looking towards the topic in the book, that is, friction is a force that opposes relative motion or attempted motion between systems in contact. Relative motion means when the two objects are in contact with each other. Attempted motion means the motion caused due to some external force. Friction is denoted by letter F since it is a force, therefore it is a vector quantity. Denotation of the friction is denoted by small f. The friction is a force, that's why it is a vector quantity and it has the unit same like the force. Frictional force is around us all the time that opposes motion of one body over another body in contact. The friction is a force that is present all over time, and it is present when the object is come in contact with another object. When we slide our hand on the tabletop, we feel the friction opposing this motion. When we slide our hand on the tabletop, then our hand is uh, moved, but it move, we feel a movement, there is a distraction in the movement, and this distraction is due to the friction force. We need it both start and stop a bicycle and a car. And the friction is needed everywhere, whether we are starting a bicycle, a car, etc. We need friction. Microscopic description of the friction. Every surface is rough. Even surfaces that appear to be highly polished can actually look quite rough when examined under the microscope. Every surface is rough, whether they are highly polished, but when they are examined under a microscope, we feel that the surface is extremely rough. Therefore, when surface slide over another, these irregularly bump into one another. Bump means they slides into one another, which gives rise to the frictional force. Secondly, at these contact points, the molecules of the different bodies are close enough to exert strong attractive intermolecular forces on each other, thus opposing motion and result in friction. When the two surfaces comes in the contact with each other, then there will be the strong intermolecular forces between these two surfaces, and thus they cause opposes the motion of each other, which results in the friction. This is the microscopic view of a plane surface under the microscope, that this surface is rough, too much rough. That's why there is a distraction in the motion of the object over the plane surface. Means when ice and ice come in contact with each other, then there will be also a friction. The ice moves, but moves with distractions. This distraction is due to the roughness of the surface. When this surface is observed under the microscope, we see the roughness, but with naked eye we can't see that roughness. And when examined under the microscope, then there is a roughness of the surface, and due to that roughness, the molecules of that surfaces oppose each other motion, and that motion is due to the friction. Next is the normal force. Normal is a contact perpendicular force that prevents two objects from passing one another. The definition is normal force. The normal is a force. The normal force is a force that surface exert to prevent solid object from passing through each other. The definition is the normal is a force that a surface exerts to prevent solid object from passing over another. Means this is a surface, and when an object is laid over it, these two these two objects are passed from one or another when there is no normal force, but this normal force prevents these two objects to pass from one another. The normal is the normal force means perpendicular to surface. In common language, normal means common are expected. Means, for example, when a person stands on the flat floor, then the force of the gravitation stops him to pass through the floor. This is the common example. And here a question arises in our mind that why normal force is called normal? Why normal force is called normal? Due to Newton's third law of motion, the normal force will be equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. Means that due to the Newton's third law of motion, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So here an example is that a book is lying on the table, then the weight of the book is exerted downward and the normal force maintain him at the normal, that this surface or this object cannot fall into the surface. This is the normal force of the book. So these two forces are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. Here another question arises in our mind, that normal force is equal to what? Normal force is equal to what? Here in this example, I told you that the weight of the object is acting downward. So the normal force of an object at rest on the flat surface is equal to the gravitational force of that object. The normal force of an object at rest on flat surface is equal to gravitational force. Now looking towards the topic in the book, a contact force perpendicular to the contact surface that prevents two objects from passing through one another is called the normal force. Means This is a book lying on the table, then this normal force prevents this book to fall on the surface. In geometry, the normal means perpendicular, means at a angle of the 90 degree. This is at the angle of 90 degree. Normal force always act at the angle of the 90 degree. Explanation is considered a book resting on the horizontal table surface. By Newton's third law, the book exerts the force on the table due to its weight, and as a reaction, table exerts force on the book, which in this case is normal force. The normal force due to the table must have just right magnitude to keep the book from falling through the table. If no other vertical force acts, then the normal force of the book is equal in magnitude to the book's weight. The normal force is equal to the weight of the book. In that case, when no other force act on the book. When the other force act on the book, then the normal force is not equal to the weight of the object. If the surface of the table is not horizontal, the normal force is not vertical and not equal in magnitude to the book, as shown in this figure that the surface of the table is not vertical, and in this case the weight of object is not equal to the normal force, or normal force is not equal to the weight because its weight is disturbed, not in the center. Remember that the normal force is perpendicular to the contact surface, even one horizontal surface. If there is other vertical forces acting on the book, then the normal force is not equal in magnitude to the book weight as shown in the figure. Or if in this case the other force act on the object, pushes the object downward. In this case the vertical force is acting on the book. That's why the normal force is not equal to the weight of the object. The overall summary of this topic, normal force, is that which prevents the object to fall through another surface, and the normal force always act at an angle of the 90 degree. Example is that the normal force and the weight of object are equal in the case when no vertical force act on the object. If the vertical force act on the object, then the normal force is not equal to the weight of the object. Thank you so much.